It was devastating to me. I just, it's one of those deals that you can remember where you were, and it had a drastic effect on me. It bothered me all week. It still bothers me. I can't deal with it.
The first reaction I had when I confirmed that Fred had passed away is, and I put this on my Facebook post, it was a knife to the heart. I mean, it was just like, what?
The work that he did was so incredible. I met with him probably 2012 along in there. We were having some issues with being able to have the citizens have the access they should to Snow Canyon State Park. And that wasn't good enough for him. He made drastic change in that. They had policies that were quite restrictive, and some parts of the park were very restrictive, and he didn't want no part of that. He's a true conservationist. He wants to take care of the park, and he wants it to be available to everybody and preserved for everybody.
I think that when we have access to, beautiful public lands, we have an obligation to go out and enjoy them.
The off-highway vehicle program held a lot of closeness to him. He truly did love each member within the OHV community. He loved the relationships that he built. I remember that we were on a ride. It wasn't going maybe as quickly as what we would have liked, and so we decided to maybe we circumvented the group and saw some different type of beauty and shared that moment.
The greatest thing about Fred was he loved to tell stories. And the first story he ever told me was about Chad, how he had gone riding with him. Chad gets on his ATV and Fred's on his, and Fred takes off and Chad takes off and Chad crashes. When I first met Fred, he told me his name was Fred Hayes and he worked with state parks, and I just kind of goofy and didn't quite, get all the names because I was just learning all these people's names, and so I kept calling him Fred Parks.
Fred brought an enthusiasm to state parks. He had this fun motto, more people having more fun, in more parks, more of the time. I mean, he had a great enthusiasm. He had a big heart for the state, and he had a big love for the state parks, and he helped everybody else to be excited about them.
We've got so many really neat state parks. People need to spend a summer and go see all 43.
I've gone with him with other legislators to visit state parks, but most recently, he was helping me in the promotion of extending the Hole in the Rock State Park, which was a very meaningful thing to do. He was totally supportive. So he came to the Senate committee and spoke on behalf of that last week, told me he would be at the House committee on Monday to continue speaking with me on that issue. And it was pretty tender Monday to speak to that, knowing that he would have been there if he could have been, and he wasn't.
As Fred's boss, I remember a couple of things that stand out. First, he was committed to multiple use. And second, the big memory that stands out when we went through the huge budget cuts, when they took our parks budget from $12 million general fund down to $4 million general fund, he said, "We will not close a park."
I'm not going to shut down any parks. I said, we'll grow them. And he did. It was very fitting that Lee Perry, a Box Elder native, State Highway Patrol trooper, he said, we got to do something. They said, we got to name a park after him. That's what they decided to do. I was talking to Lee Perry yesterday at the Capitol as they were passing a resolution to name a park after Fred. Pretty instantly they agreed. This needs to be Starvation. It was Fred's backyard. He grew up in Duchesne. He lived in Heber. It was his favorite place to go. It's the first place he worked in state parks. And the story has it that part of his family homestead sits at the bottom of that lake. So it's appropriate that this park should be called the Fred A. Hayes State Park at Starvation. So salute on you, Fred. I'll be up there boating every summer.
I'm very proud and honored to have worked with him, to laugh with him, to share a lot of great moments with him, to just, all in all, just a great person.